Nice to have you with us. Okay, you remember the saying stranger danger? This was drilled into so many heads when we were kids.
I say it all the time. People will come in here, I'm like, stranger danger, go away. But here's the thing, times have changed. And the stranger danger has evolved to not just in person, meeting you know, strangers.
Somebody who looks like a stranger,
Now it's coming into your phone, into your screen, in all kinds of different digital platforms.
Yeah, a new survey out by CyberSafe Ireland finds that nearly half of children aged 8 to 13 years old are talking to people they don't even know online.
That is terrifying to me. Terrifying. I mean, you think about it, you think your kids are safe in your own house, but they're out there talking to
look
strangers.
at social media. A big percentage of social media, you're interacting with people who you don't know, but they're familiar to you. I guess the word familiar is interesting. They're familiar to you, so you feel comfortable sharing things. That familiarity could create all kinds of problems.
There's lots of people that use that to their own advantage. So most parents think that they're keeping good tabs on what their kids are doing, especially online, but there are so many different ways to communicate in the digital space now. Talking, like you said, social media. Chat rooms. I mean, there's still a thing, that WhatsApp. The kids use it all the time.
How about gaming platforms?
Well, that's the other one.
Like playing Fortnite, and they've got like 16 players going, and you don't even know who's on the team and who they're talking to.
I mean, and yes, you know, we've talked to experts and say sometimes for kids who are introverted, that is a good platform for them to try and come out of their shell. But as a parent, you have to think too, who is that other person? Is it really a kid? Is it a kid at all?
It may not be a kid. It may be a grown-up who's playing with a bunch of kids and may have ulterior motives. So we asked Dr. Katherine Brown, an assistant professor in criminology at Tarleton State University, why she thinks kids are so open to speaking to people they don't know.
I think you have to think about what the concept of a stranger is. If a child is interacting with individuals online multiple times, they no longer are a stranger to that actual child. And very often they meet in an online environment and they cease to become strangers.
Oh,
that's interesting,
That's so scary. So Dr. Brown suggests that parents move away from talking about the traditional stranger danger, having that conversation, and instead, because kids see their parents interacting on Facebook and Instagram and whatever with strangers anyway, so they see it's happening. So instead, they suggest that you should talk to your kids about internet safety.
Let's watch.
Obviously, children, and the older they get, they're going to be more secretive and want more freedom in their interactions with other individuals. But just checking in with them, checking on, you know, if they mention a certain friend that they've been communicating with online and talk about them, maybe doing a little bit of checking into that to make sure, but help them realize that they need to know who they're talking to on the other line, and they maybe need to get a little more information other than, say, just a screen name.
She seems so calm, so reassuring. It's not, I mean, it is not easy. If your kid does not want to talk to you, they will not talk to you.
I know.
They will not show you what they're doing. You will not know anything about them. You have to be so persistent.
Well, and the thing is, too, is that they're so good at hiding it.
Yeah, they are.
Because they know how to use the technology.
Better than you do.
Better than you do. I mean, haven't you ever met a 3-year-old who can fix an iPad? Because I have one in my family. But the thing is that, you know, they can, you know, they change names in the phone, save it under contacts and as other things. They use all of those secretive apps that, you know, delete things and hide things. So you... And Katherine's right. I mean, the screen name thing, it could be like...
Be anybody.
It could be anybody.
Yeah, you know, when my kids were growing up, I didn't use the word stranger because that connotes somebody who's kind of evil looking and scary. They may not be evil looking, they may not be scary, they may look attractive, they may use other photos, they may pose as somebody else, they may even change their voice to make it appealing to you and flatter the kids to do things that will, in fact, create a sense of calm and a sense of reassurance.
Well, we also spoke with our friend Detective Tim Lohman from the Ventura County Sheriff's Department because he specializes in cyber crimes. And he says it doesn't take long at all for your kid to strike up a friendship and then with somebody that they don't know, and then it might turn into something else down the road.
It's just a matter of talking to them, for a short time, 3 months. They try to groom them. I like to use the term groom until they get to know more about them. They start asking them personal questions, and then eventually what they'll do is they'll try to meet with them. Well, it's extremely dangerous. Obviously, you don't want to lose your child. You don't want your child to be victimized by somebody. Parents need to be aware of what's going on. They need to be in touch with what their kids are getting into as far as games, what they're playing, be aware of it. Don't just let them sit in a bedroom and jump on the computer or play their games. Have them leave the door open, know what they're doing at all times.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. In the Remillard household, not that we had technology, because, I grew up in the Stone Age, but I did.
What does that mean to be?
Well, you also grew up in the
There
Stone
were
Age.
dinosaurs out there.
There were dinosaurs roaming the earth when we were growing up. But, we didn't have the technology.
No.
But let me tell you something. My door was never allowed to be shut in our house, ever. My parents said, this is my house, and if I want to walk in that room, I will. If I want to go through your stuff, I will. There is, of course, you want to give your kids room to grow up and become adults, but you also have to be, as Detective Lohman says, because they are so active on their phones and on social media, you have to really be engaged.
Yeah, you didn't grow up with a phone in your hand like the
Right.
kids do today, and they have that access to everything. When my kids were little, we had a video game console in the family room.
But there wasn't a chat option in there. Right.
Yeah, but again, I even monitored what they played and how long they could play, and they were in the room with all of us, so we kind of knew what was going on. And so they'd fight over the controller.
Right.
that was the big thing. For us, the stranger danger was more like, who can pick you up from school?
Totally.
Who do you talk to at soccer practice?
Totally.
All of that kind of stuff. And the only people they were allowed to interact with were people who knew the family code word.
That's so I love that.
Even the best of friends, if they didn't know the code word, my kids were not allowed to talk to them.
I love that.
They really adhered to that.
Well, and then you have to try and find a way to implement something similar.
Like that. Online.
Yeah. So Dr. Brown says, while their parents should, of course, be concerned about predators online, there are other dangers that, your kids can interact with online, too.
Really, the only crime that we see increasing against children online is bullying. And this tends to be by other juveniles. And so that behavior may be moving from that real-time environment, say at school, into the online environment.
Now, bullying is a whole another category. That's a whole different topic.
It is. But it is real, and it does happen. It does happen on those because it can turn into much more. So there are ways that you can monitor what your kid is doing and who they're interacting with online.
Okay, you can use apps like Net Nanny, which allows you to block certain apps and filter web content. Make a habit of checking your kids' accounts. Make it a rule that they provide you with login information, that they don't have like several logins. Got to check that out because they're clever.
They are very
and realize that many apps have hidden chat sections. If you don't recognize an app, take the time to Google it and see what it's actually meant to do, because these apps can be very sneaky as well.
And when we talked with Detective Lohman about this, he says that he sees it a lot.
Yeah.
Kids, not that they're getting, some have become sadly victims to this type of thing, but he said that he gets calls from parents all the time who say, there's a weird chat person that my kid's talking to online. Yeah. Can we look into who it is?
Interesting is that a parent, you get a gut feeling about something and then you don't act on it?
Yeah.
Dude, if you feel anything at all, check it out.
Yeah.
Make sure that it's okay. You don't want to regret not having acted on your intuition.
Especially with the research that says more than half of kids are talking to strangers online.
More coming up here on Carlos and Lisa. We'll be right back.